Are you a good doctor?
I used to be. I won an award once from the mayor. Had an expensive frame.
They're all gonna die.
The day I get out of prison, my own brother picks me up in a police car.
It is the Al Travis Show, and we're lucky to have our next guest on. He is Senator Mark Koran. Senator, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. Always 101 things to talk about, so that always helps out a little bit. But I was going to get your opinion because we did not talk last week. I think you probably heard about it. I'm sure you had. So last week, the governor, after Labor Day weekend, there was a rumor. I heard of it afterwards. I guess I don't follow the right tweets. That thought possibly the president was dead. Hadn't seen him for 2 days, so the president was dead. And the governor comes out and he's being cheeky and funny. And you know how you're scrolling looking for your doomsday news? You think you got some, and it wasn't. But don't worry, we're going to get that news someday. And when I heard it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You had the things with the Hortmans and the Hoffmans, the naked guy at the Capitol. You have the shootings at the church, and you're joking about the president getting killed? How far off base is Walz on this?
He is disgusting. It's reprehensible, but it's consistent, right? Preach tolerance, and his tolerance is extraordinarily violent, and he's promoting it. And he's doing everything he can desperately to stay in the headline, even through these stupid comments. I believe he got high on mainstream media crack when they bounced him, or he bounced onto a stage, because no other competent candidate would take that slot. He was uniquely qualified to take that slot. But you look at his actions today, I think he's desperate. He knows even his own people are saying, we're not interested in a third term of Governor Walz, but he has no other place to go. The guy he's got to stay in the headlines. And the Democrats are normally really good at taking care of their pawns, right? He's been a compliant pawn, executing the agenda, and they haven't taken care of him for stepping up, which is rare. So he wants whack in Washington, D.C., and he knows if he doesn't run for governor, he's out of the spotlight. He has no useful voice.
And according to the reports, his people and his campaign people all trying to talk him into it, because if he wins in Minnesota third term, he still has that platform. And you say, hey, no one's ever done it before. I'm the Democrat in Minnesota. They got it. So you can see the poll. But the story also said he doesn't feel like that's something he wants. Do you want a governor who's not in it? I really like my governor to be behind it and say, yeah, let's go, baby.
Al, I think one thing that his national spotlight did do is it actually brought forth and informed Minnesotans of exactly what he did since 2023 and 2024. It was door knocking out in the special election out there in the Wayzata area, and a month before the actual end of election season day, used to be election day, and they were just starting to talk about, well, what's this fraud you guys are talking about? They were just starting to learn the things that he had done in Minnesota because of the national news, which has been, of course, certainly suppressed here by the local news in any real in-depth manner. So I think he's called back people, right? He's made a variety of changes because fraud, right? He suddenly said, we've got to discuss fraud. As long as it grows government, I'm willing to talk about fraud. He had no interest. His own voters were starting to reach out to him. I don't know how they got a hold of him, but he must have. He doesn't talk to anybody. And so I think you saw those changes that were kind of out of the blue, but I fully believe it's because his voters were starting to put pressure on him. The same with the reason the House Democrats didn't come back for 23 days. I had forecasted they'd sit out the entire couple months if their voters would let them. Their voters are mad. Okay. And so that's the only reason they came back. They didn't come back because they wanted to or because it was strategically advantageous to them. So their voters are starting to learn.
All right, let's move on to talk about being mad and whether they can handle that. Melissa Hortman, of course, was shot, and she has passed, and they filled that seat with a guy named Zach Stevenson. Stevenson. Yep. I don't believe I've met him. I'm trying not to prejudge. Have you met him? Do you know him? Is he Hortman-like? And what I mean by that, you can be a staunch Democrat. You're leading the Dems over there, but will he have the conversation with the other side like Hortman did?
Well, I don't think. He's an attorney, right? I think he's a public defender or something.
Okay.
Met him a few times. Affable guy.
Okay.
Do I believe he has the same convictions as Melissa? Yeah. Does he have the same skill set to keep the most radical Democrat socialists from consuming themselves? I don't think he does. And so that'll be the interesting part, that what Melissa was extraordinarily skilled, and she was the one that kind of kept their caucus together, even though she was outnumbered with the Democrat socialists from them kind of consuming themselves. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamics of how they move forward with the radical side, and can he replace Melissa? That's a heck of a task when they're outnumbered.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the numbers of the special session in a second. The other guy I want to talk about was Jerry Miller has decided to resign from. He's not resigning. He's not going to run for his Senate seat again. With everything as tight as it is numbers-wise, I mean, I'm not asking him to force him to stick around for another 4 years, but could this affect everything? And what are your thoughts on why he's getting out?
Well, I think, Jeremy, I think it was in 2010 when he was elected, 26 years old, a young punk. And it was 16 years in. That's a long time. And what I've seen is most step out, 20 years. Yeah. And Jeremy's got young kids that they're probably the most active part of their lives. Mm-hmm. And he's got multiple businesses. And so it's a big strain on those, on your family and environment. And remember, he also served as a majority leader for a little over a year, I believe. Did a very good job at that. And those jobs are extraordinarily demanding. That people know, they don't see those types of what they do to serve in those capacities. But Jeremy's going to be a loss to Minnesota. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. He was the Senate president. He held high standards, and we all worked to live up to those. And he'll be missed. But it's not surprising to me.
How does that numbers work? It's Winona, right? How do the numbers look? Is that a toss-up kind of thing? Is that a pretty rock-solid Reds position?
I just looked up. We've got both. I mean, it's the representatives are Republican, both sides. It's a complete Republican district. It's not a 70% district, but I think it's a fairly strong position. But from the work of Jeremy and the work that he's done over the last 16 years, he's done a really good job at representing that district.
All right. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about the special session. Is there going to be one? Is there not? Does that change whether the governor's getting in or not? We talk about that with Senator Mark Koran right after this.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
friends. The Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
We've got him, Senator Mark Koran, on with us talking about the special session. Sir, I don't pretend to understand everything that's going on, but the governor is looking to call a special session. He's getting some pressure to do that. The Republicans come out with a list of 4 or 5 things, SROs, mental health, all this stuff that we'd be willing to discuss. You're on mute, by the way. Be willing to discuss. The Democrats seem to be, we just want gun control. Senator Ron Latz, Senator Marty both come out and say, we don't have the numbers. We should probably just be looking to have group conversations, that would be a good start for us. If his own side, and a couple guys been there a while, understand this isn't going anywhere, why is the governor pushing for this? I don't understand the end game.
It's all political, right? To continue to address things that actually matter. Remember, this is the same governor who signed a bill that basically removed SROs, school resource officers, from classrooms. Yeah. And so the basic safety measures, which people want, our residents want there in our law enforcement agencies want to be there. We have to have some line of defense for a psychopath who's attacking our children. But to continue to not address those issues that are meaningful, all they want to do it's the same mantra over and over. If we just continue to hammer at the Second Amendment and everything they know is going to be deemed unconstitutional, they want to ban scary looking weapons, but you can keep your hunting rifle. Now they're talking about, we'll just get rid of semi-automatic rifles, semi-automatic handguns, which, 90% of all weapons that exist out there. They're not going away. And it's not the weapon. It's a psychopath that decided they want to attack and murder our children. And we've done nothing. And even if we just removed every sign that said this is a gun-free zone, every single one of those psychopaths researches extraordinarily well to make sure that it's an unarmed environment, right? No. It's a defenseless environment because they're cowards and they don't want any confrontation. And when they do, it'll end and it ends. But, and so we got meaningful things we can do. The psychological health, the mental health, talk about the last shooter. We don't know a lot, but we don't know a lot of the details, but we do know this gentleman was trying to transition to be a woman. Was he getting hormone treatment? Well, I haven't seen that yet, or if he's just pretending to be a woman. But we know those have drastic impacts on somebody's mental health. And that type of care is illegal in Minnesota if a parent has a child in that environment, to be able to talk them through pubescent stages, that it is the cure for the challenges they face. And we don't know if that's the case. I do know not having that treatment available to any parent besides only transitioning somebody into some other pretend sex is not possible, and it will destroy their mental capacity and their physical existence. Those are the things we can address, and I think you saw that in the House's positions about things we can talk about.
But see, that's with Stevenson coming in and having to talk with Dameth, and this is what she wants, but this is what the governor wants. I don't see it going anywhere. Like you say, political, everybody has to vote. Well, 2 years ago, when they passed all that stuff in the omnibus bill, we know exactly what the red flag laws were passed. We know where everyone stands. So isn't it just a farce to, I guess, I don't say it on purpose hurt people, but all the people that have something vested in this, whether it's mental health, where it's the folks that want something done because something has to get done and to just do that for a political reason in and of itself seems almost mean-spirited.
It absolutely is, but it's to motivate a small portion of the most radical portion of their base, right? Okay. That we're going to go out and it's the guns. I heard it when I was at the fair that morning, right? I was with another state legislator that said, "Oh, we knew it was an assault weapon, and we knew it was a white male." That's what they said. Yeah. Well, let's talk about what that is today. To make those assumptions, but then to pander that they got red flag laws. Red flag laws are supposed to stop these things. Yeah. Each and every one of those types of issues requires multiple levels of government to perform at the highest level. When has that ever happened? We saw it when the horrible day when Melissa was murdered. Even the local police units didn't, after John Hoffman was shot, hour and a half later, they all weren't notified They all weren't on high alert.
Yeah.
And they ran into the murder before they got to Melissa's house. I mean, those are the types of things, not knocking the men and women, but government in its rawest form is mostly ineffective when it really matters. And so we've got to secure our children and protect them in the environments that they're at, you know, in the school bus, on the way to school, standing outside the school. We got to stop making them easy targets.
There's a lot to that, and you talk about government itself. This is a government who spent hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars, and a guy just nutty enough to sit around naked in the Capitol figured out with nothing but a doorstop he could get in. So don't tell me you guys are the genius, that the government is the geniuses that can come with how we're going to stop mental health issues when guy in the Capitol saying you're the governor naked in the Capitol doesn't get you time with Dr. Phil at the hospital. That doesn't get you there. We're never going to find this kid out that, you know, what was going on. He had no priors or anything. We're never going to figure that out if naked guy can't be talked to. You know what I'm saying? We have to talk mental health at some point. And we just have
and stop filling our mental health systems with, you know, the manufacturing of what we deem mental health issues today are, in many cases, it's filled with the basic adversities of life. And so life has been so good. We've socially, emotionally, we're not as mature as we used to be. And I can tell you the industry that lives off of that is growing like mad, but it will never keep up. And then with the growing demand that we create to really address those that truly need those, the highest level of mental health services, that's one piece of the resource. The other one, it's currently outlawed for a parent to seek those services today by a licensed medical provider. And remember back, the governor, when they did, they said, yeah, but we'll be so gracious enough. You could still talk to an unlicensed family friend, or maybe a clergy, somebody who's untrained. So tell me what concern he has about mental health and the issues that arise that would bring somebody to this. And I've been to multiple mass shooter, serial killer trainings, and every single one of them has many, many different symptoms on the front side or indicators. They also have triggers. And multiple people knew that this young man was having a problem. And if they did reach out, we'd love to know that. If they didn't, you know, that wouldn't be surprising either. Most don't report them, and these things go unchecked. It's
a red flag law problem. You have red flag laws, but if no one's going to turn anybody in because of the social stigma that comes with it. I'm out of time. Love having you on. Thank you, Senator, for coming on the program. Appreciate you a ton.
Have a wonderful day.
He's Senator Mark Koran on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck.